Hey guys, it's April 2012. I want to do a video on gold because, for me personally, I see the price as being stuck now. I don't think it's going to go any higher, I don't think it's going to go any lower, I think it's just going to stay there. So I want you guys, after you watch this video, to come back and say, no, you know, you're wrong, or you're missing this, or something, just to say, yeah, or say I think the same thing. Okay, I'm new to finance. I studied for like 6 months, whatever, you know, I'm kind of, you know, zero hedge, you know, all the favourites, kind of gone through them. And I kind of reached I've kind of reached the end now. I've kind of reached my set opinion. So I just I'll go through that, I'll tell people what it is. And hopefully, I don't know, I want to see if people agree, if we're on the same page or not, or if I'm missing something. Anyway, okay. People, at the moment, people know the current governments, UK Western, UK US, Europe, printing money, inflation's going up, savings, you know, the real value or purchasing power or whatever is going down. So a lot of people, gold has come to their attention now. And I think, oh, this is a good, you know, hedge against, you know, rising prices, or you can preserve your wealth in gold. So, I see a lot of people saying, you know, buy gold, it's still early, you know, still in the second phase of a bull run or whatever, the everyday person isn't in there. If everyone had 5 or 10% in gold, then gold would increase exponentially, whatever. I just, I don't see it happening. In theory, you know, gold should still go up. In theory, you know, if the market was three, the problem is, it's not really, where to begin? Okay, the banks, you know, their mindset is to print money, they want the dollar to remain the reserve currency, so they want, you know, they do not want gold to be powerful. So, you know, a lot of suggestions is that, you know, there's a lot of shorts made, on gold, you know, backed by nothing. You know, this paper gold where they're selling it just to suppress the price, but you know, they don't have the reserves. It's not backed up by anything. It's just backed up by words. The problem is that nobody knows. Like, I think Germany recently tried to get, you know, audit Fort Knox, and I think they were basically refused. So I can't see that changing. I cannot see, like, the real picture really coming to light. Also, the LBMA, is it? The LBMA, I think it's the acronym for the group that control the precious metals. They are the people who lead or control that group are the same representatives, the same people who are running the banks. So I think JP Morgan was, I think one of the people, that's the one that comes to mind, he was in, obviously, the bank, and I think he's a, like, you know, director, executive, you know, at the top anyway. So, you know, that's what, you know, so their agenda at the moment is to suppress the price of gold, and they hold all the cards. You know, the LBMA is like the centred in London, and it is where all the international trade for gold comes through. So, you know, I think to be anything to do to trade with gold, I think you have to be a member. So this kind of chain of command or whatever, yeah, it's very worrying. You know, it's nothing to do with, like, you know, again, it's not the theory, it's not whether it should go up. It's actually the practicalities of what, you know, what is actually ever going to overrun these banksters or whatever, you know, or, you know, one, they're not likely to change their mind. All their wealth is, you know, traditional, isn't it, in stocks, and so they like those things to remain high, no matter how they achieve that. It's traditional or whatever. And, you know, they're not, you know, it's not likely they're going to change their mind. So that's a huge problem. You know, you'll fight it, you know, as if you go against them, it's really difficult. So, you know, what are you to do? You know, they say, you know, the average investor, if they pulled their money and put it into bought gold, you know, then maybe that would change the world. Well, not really, because if you do that, maybe if you buy an ETF, it's still paper gold. They control it, you know, they won't have it backed up. And then people say, well, you know, if you if you don't want to, if you want to then take a different route, then buy physical or silver gold. And, you know, in theory, that sounds fabulous. And, you know, that sounds really good idea. The problem is that, one, you're buying your gold and silver through these same companies. So that should start to trigger slight warning or alarm signs. Two, the gold fakes and silver fakes are becoming increasingly complex. And from my perspective, I was in the UK, I was looking for a company to buy, a reputable company. I came across like a company, this is just the first one I came across, Guernsey Mint. So I was thinking, yeah, you know, reputable, been around since 1850s, whatever. And then I came across another article sometime later, and it was about a fake gold bar filled with tungsten. And when you hear reports like that, to begin with, that's going to put off, you know, if the next phase of the bull run in gold, you know, was the average investor piling in, you know, stories like that are going to scare people, you know. The idea of buying something fake is really scary, I mean, for anyone. So, yeah, you had these tungsten-filled gold bars recently, and I saw a picture, just by, you know, I was just looking into it like an everyday person, and it had metal ore written on it, you know, the Swiss, and then I found a connection, well, the Guernsey Mint sources its gold from this same company, or same group, or same mint, and then it just triggers, again, this kind of chain of command thing. It's like, well, you know, and I just looked into on the website. I mean, it's just one company I know, but I looked in, you know, and they had all this, like, nanotechnology about gold plating, about gold technology, assaying it, you know, and I thought, well, you know, maybe, you know, at the moment, the only way to test for real gold, in the past, you know, you had weight, that was sufficient, it's not anymore, and size, again, it's not anymore. Magnets, used to use, and then, you know, that's not a sufficient test anymore. The only real, and you have heat capacitance, I think, and conductivity, but I think if it's gold plated, it will not give you an accurate picture. And then I think the only thing you have now is the sonogram. You know, there's two things. I think you have the specific gravity, or where you weigh the gold bar, silver bar, and then you water, divide the top by the bottom, and it gives you a specific value that's specific, to gold. But unfortunately, tungsten is very similar to that gold value. So that's not sufficient really anymore. So they've now brought in like sonograms where you know, have to put a gel over the top of the bar to actually, and then you have to look inside it. And it just got me thinking, well, yeah, you'd see a metal rod, but you know, if they've got this technology now to make the mixture uniform, if you could mix tungsten and gold and make it uniform, then that's not sufficient. The problem is like, to test the gold now, you can't do it as an individual. It's getting more expensive, and you know, and again, it's companies, and these companies are like the LPMA companies, might end up being the only ones who can afford to actually test to see if it's real, and that's worrying, because these people have the money to keep on making the fakes more complex. And that's really going to undermine, you know, people wanting to invest in gold. You know, so I hope you can see what the picture I'm getting at is that even if, you know, they're not doing alchemy, but if they make it, you know, so expensive to test, then it's going to have the same thing. It's like a cat and mouse game, and, you know, it wears people out. You know, if you see stories, you know, more and more fakes, more and more complex, then probably not going to want to invest. So yeah, I mean, so I can see that happening. I mean, I think it's possible, and I think when these guys you know, they want to do something, they have the money to do it, to make it possible. So, you know, that's another scenario, you know. So one, you have this paper selling. Two, you might have this fake. The fake's getting more complex, and then I also think, like, you know, if the situation did get much worse, you know, if inflation like skyrocketed, and you know, it really became a much more pressing issue. Then you do have like things like confiscation. You know, I've heard that a little bit, you know, bandied about, and I don't really think so much of it at the moment. But if the situation did get more volatile, more risky, I could quite easily see, like, you know, forcing investors to sell their gold or silver at the face value, the paper value of what the gold is, you know, to protect national security or whatever they call it. Yeah, and so people say, you know, you can get around that. If you have gold and physical silver, you can hide it or not tell them or whatever. The problem is, if gold is a hedge against inflation, inflation means your own currency is being devalued relative to another currency or around the world, or another, you know, oil is more expensive relatively to you. So the problem is you would have to get your gold out of the country to actually pay for the goods using your gold. And the problem is, like, metal detectors at airports, you know, this kind of technology, they won't let you if they don't want you to. Again, it's this, you know, you know, when they have control of everything, you know, how are you going to get your gold to actually pay for these goods? You know, if you know, you have this physical gold on you, but, you know, it becomes like slightly illegal, say, to own it. They want to try and confiscate it, but you can't get it out of the country, and you can't actually use it for anything. You know, and then people say, well, you can store your physical gold in a vault in a different country. Well, the problem with that is most of the companies that store the gold are members, again, of the LBMA, or again, that acronym, I'm not sure if that's right, but it's the Gold Circle at London, you know, the same people who are running the banks. So, at the end of the day, if there is a problem, those people will be, you know, have the access to the gold that technically is yours, again, in theory is yours, but in practicality is theirs, you know. So that's where I'm at the moment. You know, I really, you know, I was just studying for like 6 months, you know, 3 months along, I kind of thought, well, you know, gold seems a really good way of, like, investing, a really safe way to preserve wealth. You know, and then again, another 3 months has gone past, and it's like, well, no, it's not. You know, I don't see it anymore. You know, maybe people who, you know, I want you guys, you know, people who own physical gold to tell me, you know, a way around this, what I've described. All the different ways I've described, you know, say, you know, oh no, you know, it is still a good option because, yeah, and you know, I know some people said, you know, you can buy antique silver and gold, and therefore that's definitely safer, but like then it's the same again. It's not. If gold is to like become like used as a currency, you have to have I think like this backing of the people who have the power to actually, you know, to make it a standard or. I just don't think it's changing until their mindsets change, which, you know, chances of that happening, not great, are they? So, you know, anyway, so the only way I have to see the option now is, like, to put money in a foreign bank account, which means emigrating. I think to put money in a bank in a, you know, say like Latin America or Asia, you have to be a resident there, you have to have citizenship. So that's where I'm at the moment. I think, you know, get out earlier rather than later, and the only way to do that is to move to a country, claim citizenships, residency, put your money in a bank account, and get the growth rate of a country that actually has real growth. So yeah, I mean that's the only option I can see at the moment. So if you guys disagree, if you can see a better way of, like, you know, not having to, like, emigrate, but still being able to preserve your wealth, you know, using gold or somehow, that I just can't see it. So if you can, let me know, leave a comment. That's why I've done this video. So please, 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 you know, even if it's just, it doesn't, you know, I need to hear what people's suggestions, especially people who don't normally post, you know, who have the answers, but they, you know, if you can just hint or, you know, give a suggestion about how you can use gold as a safe hedge, please do leave a comment or a video comment. I will read every single one. Yeah, because yeah, I've said what I think. I think gold is now stuck. So, and you know, for me now, I have to consider the emigrating that route. So that's where I'm at. And that's what I'll be doing in the meantime, you know, while I get responses to see if it changes my mind. But I really don't think it probably will. But, you know, hey, take your best shot. Yeah, please do. Okay, cheers guys. Thanks.